I mean, honestly, people just sleep on the Bible. They just don't know what's in the Bible. They take everything that they know from what everyone else has said. And the fact is, many people aren't saying much because they're not reading the Bible themselves. If they are reading the Bible themselves, they're likely Christians. If they're not, they might be atheists trying to prove the Bible wrong. But even when an atheist reads the Bible, because they're still coming from a carnal mindset, they might not have understanding of what the Bible is talking to, because the Bible is not only a literal book, it's also a spiritual book. So sometimes the Bible is speaking in spiritual terms using literal means. That's something you'll have to try to figure out if you don't understand it. But I want to bring this to the forefront because a while ago the Father told me to play the lyre. Musical instruments have meaning. The lyre represents playing the spiritual truth of the Father. That's why you'll see many angels with lyres. You'll see angels with other instruments too. There's warring angels. A lot of the times the drums or the trumpet, that's like related to warring things. So King David, he used to play a lyre, and when he would play the lyre, I think it was Nebuchadnezzar, I don't know, a king, he casted the demon out of just by playing the spiritual truth of God. So a lot of what's in these other religions is actually in the Bible. The whole idea of reincarnation, I don't necessarily think that the Bible explicitly says that you die and then you come back as other people. But what I want to say is John had the spirit of Elijah. It doesn't mean that John or Elijah died and that John was like Elijah, but it means like he just had the spirit of Elijah. Elijah is the spirit that comes when the Messiah is coming. So if you understand anything about the biblical feasts, you know that they're cyclical. This is why a lot of people are having issues understanding the Word of God, because they don't understand what these biblical feasts represent. These biblical feasts represent the cycles of death and birth. So you have the resurrection, which comes after the Passover and unleavened bread. And they even talk about it in the New Testament, in Acts. And I think it's also in Corinthians. Yes, in Corinthians he says, now that the feast has come, be unleavened bread because you are unleavened. So it's referring to the Feast of Unleavened Bread, which happens during the same time as the Passover. When the Messiah died, he was our Passover, and that's when the 3 days of darkness came. So when the Messiah died, he was our Passover. When he died, it was like we died spiritually. And so the resurrection is the first fruits. So you have that death and birth cycle all the way through. It goes Pentecost and trumpets, atonement, tabernacles, and the last great day, then into unleavened bread and Passover again. And the whole cycle repeats itself. And that's why there's confusion concerning, oh, the Messiah is coming, the Messiah is coming. Oh, well, he was supposed to come 2,000 years ago. No, he comes all the time. It literally says in the book of, I think it's Hebrews, that you can crucify Christ again. He didn't just die once 2,000 years ago. So that whole concept of reincarnation, if that's what you want to call it, is straight from God. But I think that in these Asian countries, they have the concept that they die and then they become, like, they physically die and then become a new person. They're born again in their own kind of way. But there is the belief of samsara in Buddhism, where people are basically trying to escape the death and birth cycle. And so in the Bible, it talks about how it will be, as long as the earth remains, which the earth represents the earthly man, the man without God's spirit. As long as the earth remains, there's going to be seed time and harvest. There's going to be winter and summer. There's going to be night and day. But when the sun sets himself up for good, then you have the spiritual man, and you're not going to be going through those cycles. So that is the exit of the samsara. But the thing is, you have to trust in God. You have to keep his commands. You have to do these things so you can exit that birth and life cycle. So this stuff is in the Bible. It belonged to God before it ever belonged to any other religion. It's just that man has came and they have twisted certain things. So that is part one. I'm probably going to find out some other stuff related to these other religions so people can stop talking about, oh, everyone has their own beliefs. Just because you have your own beliefs doesn't mean there's something that leads to life. So you guys be blessed and have a good one. Bye.